Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video with your host Fallenwolf. And the first thing I'd like to say is I'm getting tired. Now for people who've been following this channel for a long time, honestly since the conception, which was nearly 3 years ago, that's something that even now saying out loud, it's still almost unbelievable to think that I've been working on YouTube videos for nearly 3 years at this point. Now, for many of you that probably don't know, back in my humble beginnings, nearly 3 years ago, the first videos I was putting out actually were some interesting videos to say the least. Now, nothing that I'm ashamed of showing, at least for the most part. In fact, the first two games I ever played on my channel were Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney and Night in the Woods. Now, while I never finished either of those series, at least on YouTube, I had a lot of fun with them, and honestly, that's something that I miss a lot. About a few months before I actually even started posting YouTube videos, the reason I got into visual novels in general was thanks to one of my best friends at the time, Joey. The first visual novel I ever played was Danganronpa, and Danganronpa for me was such an amazing series. I got so addicted to it, and I loved it. And after I found out that there was a whole genre of games like that, maybe not exactly like Danganronpa, because Danganronpa is one of a kind, but the fact that there was so many other games out there that were like stories in playable form, it was exciting for me. And it was because of that I started to actually get into playing visual novels. Even to this day, I still have to thank my friend Joey for helping me discover visual novels. And after that, once I found out about furry visual novels and furry visual novel YouTubers, people like Deckerlink, who now goes by Vivian Jade, Dirk the Red Panda, Ookie Cookie, and even Akatsuki the Dragon, it was like my whole new world for me, and I enjoyed watching their videos. And for nearly a year, I mainly watched their videos, and I enjoyed their content so much, and it was just nice to see people enjoying something I generally enjoyed, but also posting videos of it for others to enjoy. And it was a really great moment for me, and it's thanks to those people that I decided to make my own YouTube channel doing the same content for the most part. And as time went on, I also helped other people to discover the wonderful world of visual novels, whether they were furry or non-furry. But as this video title explains, as time went on, I started actually losing my love for visual novels. Playing furry visual novels became less of a escape from the real world for me, and it felt more and more like it was combining with my real life. I started getting depressed with view counts. I started getting depressed because I didn't have enough time to focus on putting out videos, and I felt like because of that, people weren't caring about my content anymore. It became less of me just having fun and more like a competition of me trying to see how soon I can post a video. And if you combine that with the way my job was starting to feel like it was less a job and more of slave labor, and you start to get the idea why I was starting to become more and more depressed as time went on. And to be fair, it wasn't just me growing tired of playing video games less for fun and playing them more for an audience. I noticed as time went on that many of my friends were starting to feel the same way, and it didn't help that YouTube's algorithm was only making things worse. Something that I had started to do for fun went from being a fun little hobby of mine to a second job, which wasn't fun at all. It also didn't help that as time went on, I started growing tired of content simply for the sake of wanting to try new things. But I noticed a few times I tried to step away and make different content, the views dropped. And not just a little bit, they dropped a lot. Not only that, many people would comment on these new videos of mine and ask me when I was playing the next update of whatever furry visual novel I was currently going through, or whatever was popular at the time. And that made me even more sad. It made me realize that I was just a puppet on a string. It didn't feel like anybody cared about me as a person. It felt more like they just wanted to use me for their own entertainment, and that was very depressing, to say the least. So for a time, I took a break. I figured maybe it isn't the content that was, boring or I was tired of. Maybe it was just the fact that I just had been doing it so much that I just needed a break. That didn't work out either. As I came back to YouTube and I continued to make the same content after a month break, I still felt the same. It felt like everything was just a repetition. I was just stuck in a cycle, and people only were worried about how fast I could upload a video instead of what I was doing with the videos. And of course, I ignored those feelings. That wasn't it. As I continued to make the same content, and I noticed, as I said earlier, that my friends started leaning away from making their own content because they felt they were stuck, I realized it wasn't the fact that the content had changed. It was me. I no longer wanted to do the same things I was doing, and even now, I'm tired of making the same old furry visual novel games. I've especially noticed this as I've made putting out less and less videos and been playing games with my friends, and how much more energy I have and how much more I enjoy them compared to when I feel like I'm just putting out content because my fans expect me to put them out. I think another thing that didn't help was also me going on HRT, which was another big step for me and also caused me to have a lot less energy than I used to. HRT changed a lot of things about me, not least of all physical, but it's also been a great journey for me, and it's thanks to YouTube that I've came out of my shell. I've actually interacted with people more in my real world, in my real life. I've also started becoming less socially awkward. While I still don't like talking to large groups of people, I've become comfortable enough to come out to people at my job about who I am, and it's been really rewarding realizing how much they respect my wishes and how much I can talk to customers and not feel like there's something wrong with me. And it's with those kind of realizations that it also hit me that I don't have to keep making the same content if I don't want to. While I really do appreciate all my fans out there and viewers out there, at the end of the day, this is for me. And if people are upset because I'm going in a new direction, I learned that I have to accept that that's just the way it has to be. As much as I wish that I would get to spend time with every single person I met, I also am willing to accept that sometimes my life's going to take me in different directions, and people are going to not agree with the direction I go in, and I just have to accept that. I've also come to the realization that YouTube at the end of the day is a hobby for me. It's probably never going to be anything more than a hobby for me. As much fun and as much enjoyment I would get out of making YouTube a full-time job, I also realize that it's probably never going to happen for me, and I'm learning to accept that. I'm learning to understand that there's nothing wrong with just having a hobby that I enjoy, and everything I do doesn't have to be made into some kind of monetary gain. And it's also with those things being said that as much as I love you guys, I also understand that you have lives too that you have to focus on, as well as myself. And that's one of the reasons why, while I am never going to probably stop focusing on video editing, I do want to focus on video editing practices that focus more on what I want to do instead of feeling like what's the new trend that gets people to watch videos. And it's also with that realization that I've started focusing more on getting into voice acting professionally. As you guys have noticed in my last few videos, I've bought a new microphone that is much more professionally made, as well as focusing on getting more equipment to allow myself to record in less audible locations. And honestly, it's been an amazing feeling having it. There are things that interest me that aren't only about the furry fandom, and that's not to say I'm never going to make furry media. It just means that that's not going to be the only part of me that I show people, and I'm really hoping that you guys understand. But I've also come to a point in my life where I also realize that even if you guys don't understand, I have to do what makes me happy and less about what makes you guys happy. The only thing I can say to take away from that is that I do hope that my new content is something that people learn to enjoy. Whew, that was a bit of an emotional video to make, but I feel like it was something that's been on my mind for a while and something that needed to be said. And I honestly hope that all of you who stood here till the end really understand a little bit more about me. But I hope that all of you guys who heard this understand where I'm coming from, and I hope that I'll see you in more future videos, because I'm looking forward to a better and brighter portion of my future, and I hope that you guys will be along for the ride.